So here we go. We've got an urn, which just means a big container holding all the balls. And so I'm holding all the balls. There's 12 balls in this big container. Okay, so 12 in there. I'm picking one, and I don't replace it. But when I pick another, there's only 11 left, right? Start with 12, pick out one. There's only going to be 11 left in the next stage. All right, so let's look at what I'm looking for. Both balls are blue. Okay, so I'm looking for the probability of the first is blue and the second is blue. So how does that happen? Well, that's the probability of the second is blue, given that the first is blue, times the probability that I picked out the first is blue. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to start with this one. Probability that the first ball is blue. So out of the 12 balls total, I have 5 out of 12 that are blue. All right, now I'm going to the next without replacing. I want the second ball to be blue, knowing that the first is blue. Well, I know I have only 11 balls to pick from. I already chose one of the blue balls, so there's 4 blues to choose from. And that's the answer for part A. All right, so now I'm going to look at part B here. All right, so then probability that the second ball is blue, but the first ball is not. All right, let's do it. So probability of second is blue, and the first is not blue. I could say gray, right? Why don't I just say gray? All right, gray, G-R-A-Y, G-R-Y, doesn't matter. Okay, so that means I'm going to have the probability of the first is gray, and the second is blue, times the probability of the second is blue. Okay. Okay. So let's start here. What's the probability of the second ball is blue? So let's see. Maybe I should start here. So the first is gray, the second is blue. So if the first is gray, the second is blue. Okay, so because I'm not choosing a gray one on the first choice, the second is blue. So that means I've got 5 out of the 11 left to choose from. And then here, right, because I'm choosing the second is blue, so there's only 11 to choose from, and there's 5 blues. And the first one would be of the gray ones, so I would have 7 out of the 12. All right. Oh, this one's trickier. What's the probability of the second ball being blue? Okay, let's think about this. This one is an or. So, because I could have different situations, right? I could have the first ball is blue or the second ball is blue, right? So that's going to give, or I could have both of them blue. Wow. Okay, let's think about that. So let's get this going. So second ball is blue. So then I'm going to have the probability of the second is blue. That will equal the probability of the second is blue and the first is blue, right? Could have both blue, or, which means plus, probability of the second is blue and the first is, I'm just going to put gray. There we go. And the first is gray. All right, let's do this. So if the first is blue, let's think about that. If the first is blue, again, let's look back at our urn. The first is blue. That means I have 5 out of 12 for that. And then the second is blue. That would mean I'd have 4 out of 11. Plus, okay, let's move over here. If the first is green, or gray, I'm sorry, gray versus gray, that would mean I'd have 7 out of 12. And if the second is blue, then I would have 5 of the blue ones left out of the 11. So that would be the answer. Okay, what about at least? Oh, you remember the at least, right? The at least is all minus none. Okay, so all in probability land is 1 minus, how can I get the probability of no blue? That's what I'm looking for. So I would get 1 minus the probability of no blue from choosing 2, right? So the first go around, I'd pick 7 of the gray ones out of the 12. And then the next go around, I'd choose 6 out of the 11 left. So that's how I would get probability least one of the balls is blue.